Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Back to the mundane. The work still needs doing. Basically, I need to, while we've got this warmer weather, I need to do anything like this in the mornings and not leave it till after lunch because it's too warm in here. I've had to open that door right across and turn the fan off, neither of which are ideal for the orchids. But this might not take long. Right, this is a black hair type. It's got no ID, it's a hybrid. I've had it a while. It blooms well for me. It even grows roots through the hole in the tag. You've seen that before. And this has never been out of its pot. So I don't know what I'm going to get. This is a word about planning when you're going to do a repot. If you're in a situation like this, you don't know what you want yet until you get it out of the pot and start thinking about cleaning it up and seeing what good roots you've got and what bad roots you've got and things like that. And in the case of a Dendrobium, are there any old canes you want to cut off? Until you've done all that, you don't know what you want. You can't judge how big the pot needs to be on a repot until you've seen what you plan on putting in that new pot. Yeah? It may be that the pot could be bigger than the one it's coming out of, but it might need to be smaller. Depends on how good the root system is. Now, Dendrobiums tend to put out their roots along with their new growths. Now, you can see here this has got new root growth. It's not necessarily coming from the two new growths, one here and the other one here, but it is coming back into growth now. So as far as this plant is concerned, this is a reasonable time to do it. Now this has got scaffolding on it. It might be worth taking that off first. I put some wires on it just to sort of hold some of the canes in place. Am I going to be able to undo this? It's quite thin wire, yes. Just to say, because I didn't pick up my wire cutter, so that's come off quite easy. See, and where those canes have been held like that, they've tended to stay in place. This was the problem cane with the massive blooms because it stuck out sideways. Well, I strapped it to the rest of the plant to bring it more upright. Anyway, let's see if it's going to come out of the pot and what sort of tangle of roots we've got. Well, we've got a combination of roots here, root types. First of all, it's in just bark with the looks of it, with some stones of some sort. I'm getting some scale around the base of this again as well. It's very prone to scale, black hair types. They've been my worst to try and get rid of the scale. And unfortunately, now that the hot box isn't getting used, they are starting to come back on some plants. We will be able to start using the hot box again soon. The problem being that I have to seal the door to the lounge with tape all around the gap so that the fumes from, the sulphur fumes don't come into the lounge and therefore spread around the house. Which is a bit of a nuisance. And then obviously when I open up the grow room, I have to do it from the outside, so I have to come at it from the door on the outside, open that door, switch the fan on full and leave it like that for a while to sort of change the air and get rid of the fumes to the greater extent. And then obviously I can open up the lounge again. But it is a bit of a faff, but it does the job. I mean, I virtually eradicated scale last year using the hot box. But the problem at the moment is Mojo coming in and out. Obviously he's trapped inside. If the door's sealed, to the lounge, then I can't open it until the hot box is finished being used. And the hot box has to be on without the fan running. So I can't run it during the day. That only leaves nighttime. Now we've got a lot of these types of roots on here. These are papery and soft, so I think we will be taking a fair old few of those off. That'll make some room. Yeah, a lot of these are old tired roots, but in amongst them are some good ones, so you know, a bit of care. Just go for the papery ones and try and leave the whiter ones. They're the ones that are still okay. Might mean being a bit more precise than perhaps I am sometimes. But yeah, getting back to the scale, it's a problem that's growing, and it shows most on this plant and very few other places. So in the past, obviously the hotbox has done its job quite well, but they are starting to get back again in certain places, and it's almost like the you know, the canary in the mine. This is the one that says whether the scale are getting about again. So it's this one you look at first. And you know, it almost says that, you know, if this one is starting to get scale, then they're about, and if they're about, they can start moving and getting around on other plants. So it needs dealing with. But I think the best thing I can do, which is a bit of a nuisance, is actually run it at night, which I've never wanted to do. But then I do have a problem first thing in the morning. Mojo wants his breakfast and he immediately wants to go out. So at that time of day, you know, lower temperatures and everything, which is not the end of the world this time of year. It's a case of getting him his breakfast, and then while he's having his breakfast, open up the door to the lounge, get the fan on full blast, and literally change the air, leave both doors open. Then when he's had his breakfast, he can trot through the grow room straight outside and come back in again when he's ready. And I think that will probably need to be done. That was a good root just came off then. Oh well. Still some quite good roots around. I'm not going to take much more off actually, because I'm starting to get to the point where trying to get at the not so good roots, some of the good ones are coming off. Now these scissors are quite precise, but they're only as precise as the user. Yeah, I need some new glasses. I do have to go and get my eyes tested and get a new set of glasses. Your eyes don't tend to stay the same when you're my age, and they don't tend to get better, they tend to get worse. I mean, I still see perfectly adequately. I'm one of those, I check how good my eyes are while I'm out in the car. Like, how far ahead of this road sign can I actually read it? Yeah? And that way I can tell if things are starting to get to the point where, you know, my driving may not be safe, because that's important. Because, you know, not just for me, but for others out on the road. So I do need to get my eyes checked, and I want some new glasses anyway. I got persuaded the last time I went to get some glasses to get the ones I've got on, and literally within a couple of weeks of having them, having paid lots of money for them, I didn't like them, and I never have, and I still don't. So I'll be glad to get rid of them and get some new ones. Right, well, the only cane that really needs to come off is this one, and yeah. What do you think? I wonder if I can cut it with my scissors. Yes. Yeah, I didn't quite go through, did it? There we go. Yeah, it's just the oldest part of the base of the plant there. Right, so that's what we've got. So I'm just, why I'm fiddling with this is I'm removing scale manually as I'm going along, either with my nail or with my fingertips. Most of them are dead, so obviously the treatment's done its job in the main. But I'm lucky. This is one of the few black hair types that will take a systemic spray and not drop all its leaves, although it has dropped a few. And the trouble is, that's where they get, down in those leaf joints. Anyway, Not much tidying to do on this. It just needs, when it's planted, it does need to be kept in check. So it either needs a pair of stakes or something. It just needs to be kept, you know, like that, as an upright plant. It's not going to bloom on any of these shorter canes again. It may still bloom on this one now and again, although this one is bloomed 3 or 4 times already. But it's the new canes that will be, you know, looking forward to those blooming. So that'll do. Right, we'll have a bit of a clean up. Now that I can see what root system I've got, I can now tell what size pot I need, and I can also tell from what came out what it likes to grow in, because it was growing well. Yeah, it's had a good root system, and it's basically chunky bark and whatever these stones are. Some sort of, I don't know what they are. But if I'm feeling brave, what I might do is collect these stones together, quickly take them out in the kitchen and put them in a saucepan with boiling water and boil them for 5 minutes or so, and then reuse them, because obviously the roots enjoyed being in this mix. So to totally change the mix seems a bit daft, doesn't it? So we may delve with that. Anyway, I shall have a clear up and then I'll be back. Okay, welcome back. This pot is very slightly smaller than the previous one, but it's nearly see-through. These are quite good actually, because they allow you to see roots, not clearly, but good enough, but they stop the algae. You know, they've got enough light stopping power. Anyway, I washed up these stones, which look like a sort of lacquer, or possibly, it can't be lava rock, because I can't see how they would get them nice and round, so probably some sort of lacquer. And I'm just going to use my medium bark, because this medium bark does have some small in it. It's not all the big medium stuff, so it is a mix, and I think it looks incredibly similar to what this plant just came out of. I'm not going to add any perlite or anything like that. It's difficult to tell whether these stones, or whatever they are, actually hold water or not, but they certainly look like the sort that do, which is good. Now, this root system, having been trimmed, has become quite shallow, so I am just going to put a bit of large bark, just a bit of crocking this time round, because the roots aren't going to go down to the bottom of the pot for some time, and I don't want the bottom of the pot staying soggy. And it's not an air cone pot, but it does have good sized drainage holes in, so we'll run with that. And we'll get some in, and then sit our plant in. It's going to be a tight fit, but that's what I want. And I suspect I will do a bit of root damage getting the media down around these roots. The first thing I want is for the plant to be quite low in the pot, like that. And then we'll push it over and see how much we can squeeze down one side. Obviously being careful not to break off our new growth. That would be good. Waited for long enough for this to push up a new growth, and luckily it pushed up 2. So we get 2 new canes this season, and it's important to keep those growing. Be a few roots that get broken, I'm sure, but luckily this is growing a good root system, so it's quite happily pushing on a good set of new roots. And we will get the new roots from those new growths which haven't actually started yet. The new roots at the moment are branches off of existing rather than brand new roots starting from the middle of the base. Right, now the next thing is, are you going to stand up? No. The reason, it's over at an angle, so we will twist it, push down on the side we want to hold it, and then tighten up this side, and then hopefully that will hold it upright. It's always been lopsided, this plant. It's always been a nuisance to try and stand up. Right, and then I'm going to re-attach my loop of wire. Let's see if we can get the hook on, because this actually worked quite well. What this is just a loop. So it needs something to latch hold of. So we will try it on that one and see if it will come across far enough to get to this one. Yes, it will. And that's done most of the job, quite honestly. But I will put this one round as well. This one needs to go round a bit higher. So we'll start there, taking care to go in a gap between leaves, not trap any, just go round, find a gap, thread it through, and come round to where the other end is, and then pull gently. No need to go mad, and then we'll put a twist in it, and then it will stay where it's just been put. And any bare ends of wire, if you do use wire, tuck them in somewhere so that they don't scratch you every time you put your hand near them. So just tuck those together like that. Right, so that's got it quite upright now, which is good. It's better than it was. And we've got our two new growths, one each side. Yep, that's okay. Put our tag back in and then give that a very, very good watering. And then in a couple of days' time do it again, because it's new bark, and new bark tends to dry very quickly. So yeah, I've just got a little bit of a gap in there where I can see bare roots. You see, when you just recheck when you've done it, everything, just have a look. If you've got some roots on the surface, we'll just try and put a little bit of small media over the top of them so that it keeps them hydrated, and then eventually they'll hit the edge of the pot or whatever and go down in the pot. But if they dehydrate, they might actually die back. See, I've got another one here. I don't know whether I can get that to stay in there. Probably. And then that will go down in the pot now, and that's an extra nice shiny new root. So there we go, that's that done. It's a pity I haven't got an ID for it, but given the size of the canes, it possibly could have infundibulum in it because of the colour, shape and size of the blooms, but then there are quite a few black hair type dendrobiums that look like that. Large white with a yellow to golden orange in the lip, and there are quite a few like that. This is obviously a hybrid of some sort. It might be a primary cross, I don't know, no ID. This came from Jeff Hand's collection, who died some time ago now, and it came from him indirectly, because it actually went to Marius, who took the Dendrobiums as part of the national collection, and because this one had no ID, he wasn't too keen on keeping this one, and I said, well, I'll have that then, because it was a reasonable plant. So there we go. A couple of canes are showing signs of doing autumn. They do that. They do become deciduous eventually. This is the latest growth, and we now have 2 new ones coming. Those 3 canes between them will keep their leaves for some time. So yeah, we're going to have to get the old hot box going again. So there we go, a repot of one of my larger Dendrobiums, and that's gone quite well. That could have been bad. I could have got that out the pot and it had hardly any roots at all. That will be a large plant to try and support with a... When you get a root system like that that's not very good, before it got disturbed it was probably just about hanging in there, but when you disturb it and then you start trimming the old ones off and this, that and the other, it ends up reducing it enough that it can cause the plant to just stall at best and completely collapse at worst. Anyway, that's one of my few remaining black hair types. Most were lost due to the change of environments, and a lot of them were lost, I think, as a combination of moving house, change of environment, and being taken off a mount and put in a pot. Too much stress, too close together. So, and quite a few of those were irreplaceable, but I do keep my eye out, you know. So there we go. See you next time. Bye for now.